Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative. Prophetic and practical.
Intellectual stew.
Informative and inspirational. How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectual stew with James.
We go. All right. So what's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome to the Intellectual Stew for another episode or encounter or experience or however you quantify it. It's another episode of the Intellectual Stew, and I am excited. We come to you every Monday night at 9 p.m. and we discuss hard issues, conversations that probably not too many other people are having, but we're not really concerned about other people. We're just concerned about what we are trying to do. So if you would, as you come in, would you please, ma'am, please, sir, share this thread, say hello, let me know you're there. I'm kind of filibustering right now a little bit, waiting on our special guest to get here, but we're going to come on actually twice this week. Here he comes. All right, so we're actually going to come on. I'm going to bring him in just one moment. Y'all give me 1 second. Let me pay a couple of commercials right quick. Give me one hot second and we'll Let me get this going. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me? If you can hear me, say something in the chat. Let me know you're there. If y'all can hear me, let me say something in the chat and let me know that you are there. Say hello, say hi. So don't be rude. Come in there. So okay, I see a reaction. So maybe that is letting me know that you are there. You all that are there, do me a favor, share this thread. What's up, Vita? How you doing, young lady? All right, cool. We're my former classmates. Listen, we are. Listen, once again, it's another episode of the Intellectual Stew. It's 9:06, so we're getting started a little late, but I am excited tonight about our special guest. I am going to be interviewing Jay Wellsby, and he is the author of the book called Changed. And he says you'll never look at cheating the same way again. Let me preface this by saying that this is a fiction book. Okay, it's not nonfiction. Okay, but I'm gonna bring him on. Hey, what's up, Cynthia? How you doing? What's up, Terry? Good. Everybody's here. Good. Let me go and bring him in. Let me bring him in because I've started y'all a little late. Let me make sure we can hear him. Sound check, mic check. What's up, Jay? No, got your mute on. Let me unmute your mic on your end. Unmute. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I got you. And guess what? There is no echo either. That is great. What's up, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
Man, good. I'm glad to have you on the show. Now I'm gonna get when we met last week outside that store, and I got your book. You said, and I told you I had a podcast. You said you're gonna want me to come on your podcast, and you said that's just as cocky as you could be. So you knew I was gonna want you to be on this podcast, bro.
I've been heard. People done told me I'm a little arrogant at times, but it's just confidence. That's all.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they misconstrue arrogance for confidence.
Well, there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. You know, there's a very, very fine line between arrogance and confidence, and thankfully, I'm able to recognize the difference. So I was cool with that. I got the book from you. When I got it, I read the back of it immediately. That captured my attention. Then I think a couple of days later, I might have read the first two. I read the preface. I read, when you introduced the main character and whatnot. And then I said, I need to read this book because when I called you, it was like Tuesday, right? It was Tuesday, and you said you needed 7 days. You said you would work it out for me, and I had all that time to read the book, man. But I am the serial procrastinator. I promise you, I'm a serial procrastinator. But I didn't want to have this conversation without reading the book. So I'm gonna tell you what I did, man. I binged today. I didn't turn my TV on all day, and if you have 297 pages or whatever, I might have read 250 pages today. I did. I woke up about 7:30, and I turned on the TV and I saw the little fight between Jawan Howard and University or whatever, Wisconsin. But then I cut the TV off and I said, you know what? Let me put this phone on Do Not Disturb, and let's go ahead and knock this book out. Because you know what? I wanted to have a substantive conversation, even though it's fictional characters. There's so many truths, and so much underlying innuendo in the book, and I wanted to make sure we talked about that. And I think my listeners, as they come in tonight, I think they'll, if y'all have any questions, listen, y'all ladies and gentlemen, y'all let us know as well. But Jay, first of all, before we get into the book, tell me, who is Jay Wellsby? Tell me about Jay Wellsby. Where you from? Upbringing? What inspired you to start writing? Things of those types of things of that nature.
Okay, well, I was born in West Palm Beach. My dad, who was dead, I'm a junior. His name was Jerry Wells Sr. My mother name is Jacqueline Wells. She was a beautician, and they actually met in California.
Okay.
And I guess what the common factor of them both being from Florida is what brought them together. And they came back home, had me. I'm the firstborn child. I moved from West Palm Beach when I was 2 years old to Miami. I come from this part called Goose, Florida. And after Hurricane Andrew, I ended up moving or being relocated to Overtown,
Okay.
Miami. So from there, I ended up going back to West Palm to stay with my dad when I became a teenager in high school, just for discipline reasons, which I will always thank God that I end up doing that, because being raised by a man is different from a woman.
Okay.
And when I moved back with him, in West Palm Beach, I got educated. um, at different high schools there. I went to four different high schools. I just moved around a lot. After that, I went to college for a little while at TCC, which is Tallahassee Community College, and I also went to Florida State for 2 years. I didn't get my degree, but the education that I did get in college, it actually helped me write my book.
Okay. When did you develop? I mean, when did you develop a passion for writing? When did you know you had? I mean, did it start with short stories? Did it start with poems? Did you used to write raps? I mean, what? When did you start? When did your passion develop for writing?
Well, to be honest, when I was in school, I could barely read and write.
Okay.
So when I got out of high school, I graduated with all C's.
Hmm.
So I never had an idea to write. I was never passionate about writing anything.
Really?
No.
Man, I'm gonna be honest
Um,
because we had some good I'm from North Little Rock, Arkansas. And we had some pretty good English teachers, and I remember one specifically, Miss Sue Perry. And I took a creative writing class with Miss Perry. What's up, Ashley? I took a creative writing class with Miss Perry, and she started us writing short stories and poetry, and she kind of taught us the ins and outs of writing. Now I was lazy and didn't write as much as I should, so that's what I was asking. When did that trigger turn for you, or when did you start writing, or what did something
so
occur in your
yeah,
life?
so I'm about to give it to you right now, so you
Okay,
can 'cause I'm trying to bring the story together how I
gotcha.
became passionate about it. So what ends up happening is that when I self teaching myself how to read and write, I started by reading.
Okay,
The first book I ever read was Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. Then I got into John Grisham type books, and I just would read and underline words and stuff like that. So with that, I started getting the gist of how stories go.
okay,
Even though I wasn't ever passionate about writing a story, but I had the gist of it. So at the end of the day, I used to work in construction, and when I got laid off during the recession, I took to Facebook. And I really didn't understand the nuances of Facebook because prior to that, I never was on any social media.
mm-hmm.
So I took Facebook as the opportunity to start writing short stories out of boredom. So boredom is actually the reason that I first started writing stories,
Okay,
just for attention, I guess. So over time, I had many people come in my inbox and say, "Man, you can write a really good story." So then I started becoming passionate about it because people started believing in the stories that I was writing, and I finally decided to actually write a book. So that's when my passion came.
at what age did you develop that passion?
32,
Hmm.
33.
Oh wow. Okay. And then you wrote your first book when?
I had to be, when I published that book, 2017, I had to be like 39, 40 when I first published that book.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're writing short stories, you're learning the structure of writing, you're learning to kind of get the fluidity and the flow of writing, all those things. People telling you that you write, that they enjoy your writing. And so that ignited that passion to take you into what you're doing. And so what you're doing now, right? That's good, man. That's good. That's good. Uh so
Could I just say just one more thing on it?
sure, this is your hour.
I honestly got tired of going to jail, so I used to be a criminal too.
Okay.
I sold weed for many years. I've been to jail like over 20 times, and I remember when I went the last time at 32, and I turned 33.
Hmm.
While I was in jail, I promised myself that I wouldn't go back, and I had to find a different avenue.
Okay.
And prior to that, I actually won a writing contest, and that was part of it too. I won a writing contest. Matter of fact, two times in a row. So that gave me the confirmation that I needed that I was a skilled writer. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I've witnessed it for myself because I've had the pleasure of reading the book, and so the book, you all, let me see if I can put it up. I don't know if you can see it from here, but it's called "Changed" by author Jay Wellsby. Changed, for those that don't know, and the subtitle is "You'll Never Look at Cheating the Same Way Again." Now, what was the inspiration for this book? because we're gonna get into some of the characters here in a minute. But what was the inspiration? Because I mean, when you look at, first of all, if you look at it on surface value changed, you'll never look at cheating. So I'm looking for, hopefully something good gonna come out of this if I never look at. But that's me looking at it at the surface. But of course, when you get into it and it's a little deeper, do you write a fiction book with the end in mind? I guess that's the question. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, I think cheating is prevalent. I tell people all the time it's hard to be satisfied with one person, especially when you get used to them. At the beginning, it's a bunch of flowers and candy and a lot of chivalry and stuff like that. But what happens once you get accustomed to them? When you go out by yourself, do you still got it? Because I think a lot of things, um, definitely with cheating, comes to cheating is predicated from childhood.
Okay.
Whether it was your father doing it, whether it was your friends doing it, or your uncle. It's always been a sense of pride for a man to have multiple women and being sneaky and being able to get away with it. So I thought it was a story that I could bring to life.
All right, now you about to start some mess. And I get it. I'm with you. I'm on your side because when you said, cheating is a sense of pride. I mean, I heard what you just said, but one of the women in the chat said, So they're going. This is a fictional story, ladies. This is a fictional story. So I just want that to be understood. Do me a favor, everybody that's in the chat right now, share this thread for me real quick. And let's get this conversation going because y'all heard what he just said. He said, say it again. Go ahead. You said cheating is what? It's prevalent, number one. And what else?
Sense of pride.
It's a sense of pride. Okay, because because you know what? We did a show a few months ago called Why Men Cheat. And we had Dr. Charles E. Williams came on and he talked about how on the plantation, you had the Mandinga. And the Mandinga, of course, was the one who would go. He was a stud. He would go around and impregnate all the women, on the land, because that's free labor for, the master and all that kind of stuff, right? So men were kind of used, and Eastern culture, of course, they were used to dealing with multiple women and all that kind of stuff. Now the farther west we come, uh, and get into an egalitarian type culture, then of course the thing is one wife, no cheating and all that kind of thing. So it's a difference of culture, and then you got this culture clash thing going on. So when you say cheating is a sense of pride, I understand where you come from coming from a male perspective. Yeah, I mean at that time males were kind of setting the perspective at that time. But I don't want to argue, Terry. Don't beat me up tonight. Yes, I do. Let's I'll talk about it in the chat. We can talk about it. So let's go ahead. We're gonna start talking about, first of all, you said the inspiration came because cheating it it's prevalent. So that's something that people did. So I got it. So in the book, tell us about the main character. His name is Jacob. Tell me about Jacob.
Well, not going too far into the story, um,
Okay.
the character Jacob is this tall, dark, and handsome man.
Okay.
I kind of got the idea of him just for the simple fact that that's what I hear that women want. So I kind of played on that, just on the surface level of pretty much describing a man that most women would find attractive. He's into personal training. Um, in my opinion, he's a good husband, but some people will say not. Um, he has his struggle, and his struggle sometimes is just dealing with sexuality, which I think we all do have struggle in some shape, form, or matter with some form of sexuality, whether it's masturbation, whether it's seeking this woman, that woman, or it could be watching too much porn. So when I wrote him, I just wanted him to be this guy that pretty much most women would want to be with.
Gotcha. Ladies, is that true? Is that what women want? Do they want tall, dark, and handsome? Are y'all attracted to aesthetics? Are y'all attracted to? I mean, are y'all visual in nature? I mean, because people talk about being able to judge a book by its cover. So that some of the flashiest books are the books that we pick up first. But that's a question I want to ask the ladies because as Author Welsby just said, when he wrote the book, he wanted to write a character that would be attractive to women. So is that what you're looking for? Are y'all looking for security up front? For y'all want to know if he got an education up front? Because I mean, don't nobody walk around with their degrees on their forehead. I mean, so what are y'all what are y'all looking for? Is that what you're looking for? I mean, don't all answer at once. I mean, for real, is that what y'all want? Y'all want the tall, dark, and handsome. Visual is the start. Okay, what else? Somebody else. Is visual is the start. Visual is the start. Visual is the start. Because I mean, looking at his book, look at the cover. Changed. He has an attractive female. It's probably a female, a male. It's a male that females would probably. I ain't gonna never call him attractive because I'm just not gonna do that. But but looking at the cover of the book, I mean that would make you want to read the book. Likewise, if you see a guy and you see a picture of him or you see him in person, do you ever look at him and you want to be like, I'm gonna go on and I want to uncover that. I want to, because do women look at men the same way men look at women? And I ain't gonna say how we look at it, but I'm gonna let y'all wonder. All right, so some of y'all said Terry Thomas Bridges says visual is the start. Cynthia said, I mean, I do want him to look good, but that's just a small part. I get it. I want to hear the diplomatic answer. Miss Kamala Connard said, I love dark men. Do they have to be tall? Because he said he had tall, dark. Okay. How you look at the heart? You got X-ray vision. Don Taylor said she looks at the heart. I'm talking about we talking about up front. I mean, I'm talking about this is initial encounter. We're not talking about it. We had a conversation, a cup of coffee, another day. We're looking at a picture. We're looking at a profile. We're looking at somebody walking in the club. I mean, are you okay? Yeah, but you ain't got to the treating part yet. Never mind. I'm getting the answer I want. But it also depends on where you are in life. I like that answer too. All right. So you gave us Jacob. You made him tall, dark, and handsome. You made him what women want. And brother, the way you wrote that book, he you can talk about Jacob a little bit more for me, man. You talk about it, but I don't want to talk. Like I said, I want to give a little bit away, but I don't want to give too much away. So but we're gonna have the conversation. So you tell me a little bit more about him. Were you? And I'm gonna be funny when I'm saying this, but I'm not being funny in a sense.
Right.
Were you fulfilling the alter ego by writing him in like that?
No,
Was that
no,
is he the dude every dude wants to be, or who you wanted to be, or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
no, actually not. Not at this point of being 45. I'm past the Jacob Richardson stage. Probably in my 20s,
Okay.
I would probably want to be like Jacob. Now it's more about companionship at this age.
At this, okay, I got you.
But overall, I mean, I got a friend that's actually he's a model, and I just think one day I just kept seeing him change one woman after another, and I thought to myself, what is making these women pick this man over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew from my experience with him, as far as him with women, that he really wasn't no good as far as like being with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But these women were like really into him, and
Yeah.
for them, they were just something that the sleep with.
Gotcha.
In their mind, they probably had this fantasy of being with him, and 9 times out of 10, he'll burst their bubble after he has sex with him. So I just started thinking about like a story of why one particular guy is picked over another.
Wow.
Some men out here, no matter how hard they try, they can't get this particular woman. And you got some dudes out here who care less and can get that woman in a heartbeat. So I was just trying to think about women choices. So I tried to just come up with a guy that I thought that a vast majority of women would choose. So
Okay.
Jacob is that guy. Like he's charismatic. Um, he has his stuff together. He's well spoken. He would be a trophy husband if he was had his mind right.
If he had his mind right.
Because he did. show, he does exemplify himself to be a decent husband outside of the things he do
Okay.
behind his wife's back.
I agree. I agree. And it's worth noting that in the book, Jacob is only 28. So most of us that are on this line are a little older than 28. So we've passed the stage of what he was trying to accomplish at that time. But he was married. He was married, and to an extent, was he happily married?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you
He was
think would you?
definitely happy. He was definitely happily
Oh,
married. It
okay.
was nothing to do with her. Nothing
Yeah,
to do with
nothing
her.
to do with her. And
Nothing.
and so let's go ahead and let them know. In the book, Jacob is a serial cheater. Serial cheater. Uh, everybody, do me a favor, right quick. Everybody, real stop, real fast. Everybody's in the live right now. Share this thread real quick. So let's get these. Let's get this up. But here it is. Jacob was a serial cheater. Jacob had slept with how many women?
3,213 women.
Did that number have any significance?
No, it didn't.
Okay, cool. So 3,213 women that he had slept with. Okay. His goal was to beat Wilt Chamberlain, who Wilt Chamberlain had already been noted to have slept with 20,000 women. But the problem is, and here's the oxymoron, he's married. He's okay. All right. So here's some pushback is Jay. Can you see the comments?
No.
Okay. Terry says he couldn't be happily married if he's cheating.
I disagree with that totally. People do that, like that, but you have to always do this here. That individuals, every individual is different. Every
Yep.
individual cheats for a different reason.
Absolutely.
But if you read my book, you would honestly see that he was really happy with his wife.
But he
He
loved
just
it.
was dealing with an internal problem.
And and you know what, man, and I'm glad you said that because it's so easy to hear the end. You know, we used to have a story say you see the glory but you don't know the story. You know what I'm saying? So to say at the end that he didn't love his wife but not see it in context and not hear the rest of the story is probably a little inefficient, and it's not true, honestly, because he treated her like a queen. He never disrespected her in her face. Now he did do something behind. He did a whole lot behind her. And please understand, I am not justifying cheating. I am not. Oh no, he definitely wasn't happy internally. No, but externally he took care of his wife. He treated her like a queen. He cooked for her. He and wanted more from her, than she sometimes was willing to give, or didn't know how to give. It didn't have to look like some of it she didn't even have the capacity to give. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But Jacob and Kim, that were their names in the book. They met in college. Met long before college, right? But then they had kind of grew up together, and they
No,
ended
no,
up getting
they actually met in college. They met
okay.
at
Met in
Bethune
college.
Cookman.
I told you I
Um,
read it fast. I read it fast, so don't be mad at me.
it's okay.
No, it being unhappy with himself, but not unhappy with his wife. He loved his wife. That was the question. Now I'm good at this. I promise you, I'm good at this, and I read the book. But no, he was very happy. And you, read the book. I promise you, I want you to read the book, and maybe you'll understand if you can read it without being biased up front. Because that's gonna require a little work. I understand it's gonna require a little. It's gonna require a critical thought. But if you see it, you'll understand what I mean. Let me ask you this right here, and we'll go further. Who was your favorite character in the book?
Um, well, it would definitely have to be Jacob Richardson, but he's the easy choice. So I'll go next to Benny, his best friend, Benny nickname, AKA Mr. Greatness.
Okay.
I just love the swag. He reminds me so much of Rick Ross. I kind of patterned the character after Rick Ross. But I just wanted, he was just like that guy that's going to come through no matter what. And I just love that relationship between him and Jacob. That he was able to boss up when need be, and be a
You,
friend when he needs to be. And he was also his agent as well. So they had a real complicated relationship. but
Gotcha.
I like Benny character
Yeah.
the most out of the rest of the story.
Benny seemed to be very mature. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Benny seemed to be very mature, especially with and I'm gonna answer some of y'all's questions in the chat in a minute. Benny seemed to be very, very mature, especially with Jacob losing his parents so early in life, and not and only having a grandmother to raise him. So to have that kind of big
Hold
brother
up.
type figure, even huh?
Brother James, but don't give away too much of the
Oh
story.
my
You
God,
give
my
a
God,
lot
my
of the
bro, my bro.
story away.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to make okay. I
They
can't
got
give
to
away the
read
story.
it. They have to read it.
They got to read. Okay, okay. I'm
Yeah,
trying my best not to tell too much of the story. All right.
I got you.
Kristen Williams said, "How can you take care?" Now, Kristen, first of all, this is a fiction book. All right, it's not a true story. I want to make sure we understand that. But the question is, but he did answer the question in the book. How can you take care of your marital duties, sleeping with over 3,000 women? Ain't no way you have time to be married. Well, you want to tell him,
I'm
Jay?
not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you from the book's point because I want you to read it, but I can explain it. Just in general. So if I'm a person that has a goal of sleeping with 20,000 women, I have to have a system to it, right? So 9 times out of 10, if I do have sex with a woman outside of my wife, 9 times out of 10 after the sex, we're no longer talking and speaking. So I can just get away from that because the one thing that prevents a person from being a good cheater is having feelings for the outside person. Um, a person that wants to get away with cheating just understand what they have to do to get away with it. Most people that continue relationships 9 times out of 10 get caught for the simple fact that feelings get involved. So my main character doesn't go through that because that's not what he's doing. He's just using women for their bodies. So you can do that and still love your wife, but you have to understand when you're dealing with a mental illness or dealing with your own arrogance, which can be your own self destruction, you would do things to put you in a situation where you can deceive somebody. People do it all the time.
Yes. Pronounce that word for me again.
It's pronounced SATYRIASIS.
Satyriasis. That is what Jacob was dealing with. Satyriasis. And he explains in the book, and you can Google it. Somebody's asking, is your book on Amazon?
It is.
Okay. So the book is on Amazon. Let me see if I can find a link to it right quick, and I'll drop the link in the chat. Explain to them, if you would, while I'm finding it on Amazon, what explain to them what satyriasis is.
Okay, so pretty much all my life, and I think most of us all our lives have thought people with sex addiction were what you call nymphomaniacs. And what I discovered while writing this book is that a nymphomaniac is only for a woman. And the word for a man that deals with a sex addiction is satyriasis. So that's the difference. And that's something I discovered by writing this book because I had to look up a lot of things with sex addiction. Um, so that's basically what it is. It's a person that has uncontrollable urges. Um,
Uncontrollable urges to have sex. Um, and that see, I'm trying to now. I got to be careful how I got to walk on eggshells on how to present parts of this now, without giving away too much of the book. Because I like you said, and I think they're going to want to read it anyway. I think they're going to want to read it anyway. But I'm trying to because I'm responding to their questions, but I would have to respond to it in context. You know what I'm saying? Like when Terry Bridges says, "No, sir, you love yourself. You might care about her, and because she's arguing or she's debating whether or not Jacob really loved." They don't understand. Well, they're saying that you would never be at home and all this kind of stuff,
no,
but that was not the case.
that's not necessarily true. I mean, like I said, it's sort of like having like a military type of mindset about your day, organizing your day, understanding what time I need to be home. If my wife calls me, I'm going to answer this and that. And it's not like he had sex with a different woman every day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, when he can find those opportunities that will work to his advantage, he would take advantage. But at the end of the day, he was always there for his wife. And that's the part that people would never understand. Like when it comes to certain things that I don't necessarily call them mistakes because they was done on purpose. They only become a mistake once you get caught. But at the end of the day, most of us, when we do have a separation from somebody, we do go through those moments where we really understand where our mistakes were and how much we really do love that person. Because at the end of the day, when you read my book, you will never see that he's mistreating his wife.
Never.
And he always wrestled with the fact that he was dealing with something mentally, though he
Mm-hmm.
loved his wife.
Yeah.
And that's
That,
why the book is called Change, because throughout the book, he's always trying to find that place where he can change and seeking help from different entities to help him be a better husband. So you can say from your perspective that he didn't, which I understand. But if I'm gonna tell you as the author that I wrote him to love his wife, I'm only telling you the truth, and you will have to read the book to understand exactly what I'm saying.
and Don, that's a preconceived notion because she never heard in the book. You said love isn't supposed to hurt. She never heard. Y'all are making assumptions like he got like some things happened that didn't even happen in the book. His wife was well taken care of. Whenever he was home, she was home, he was home. He never he never did anything to affect. He never allowed his cheating to affect his home. I know the Bible. I know the Bible real good. He never did any of those things. I'm real good at the Bible. I got that. But he never ever did she never felt mistreated. She never felt disrespected. She never felt anything but esteemed. He went out of his way to make sure she was cool. I get it. I mean, I'm loving the comments. I'm for real, but I want y'all for real. I put the link in the chat. I'm gonna put it in there again. Go buy the book so that way we can have this conversation again. And
Did he
maybe,
love her or
yeah,
not? We can
yeah,
have that conversation.
then you can understand. That's a whole different conversation. He did. And yes, did he have a medical issue? Yes, he did. The medical issue. Let me ask something. Do you think a person who has, I mean, there are sexual, what you call it? People who have
Do
sexual
you?
addictions,
Okay.
uncontrollable ill urges. Though, and some of that stuff is stuff that's rooted in them that might have caused a trigger in their life to cause them to start behaving that type of way. You got to read the book, but there's a reason why he did what he did. Thank you, Lisa Thomas. No, but I want y'all to comment because I want the comments to be high for my little algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So y'all, I'm joking, but y'all keep asking the questions. But real talk. Once you see some of the stuff, I mean, when he had that conversation with Dr. Gallagher, man, that was a that was a mind shifting conversation because oh boy hit him in the face with the very thing, you know what I'm saying, that he already knew because he had kept hearing the word it's being renewed, being renewed, being renewed, being renewed. Then all of a sudden he's hit dead in the face with who he actually is. And man, and so yeah, he did go to a shrink. He did go to a shrink. He didn't shrink. Okay, hold on. He doesn't know what love is if he thinks he loved his wife and can sleep with 3,000 women. Okay, I'm do it that way then. I'm make it easy. Okay, but then you read the book and hopefully, hopefully, like I said, you'll see it different. I mean, like, you know what? To me, and let me just drop this one. I think sometimes we think that truth is so absolute, you know, and you think that your truth
I like that.
is absolute. I mean, ladies, I hear what you're saying and you're speaking out of your feelings, and I get it. But your truth is not absolute. That's relative. Your truth speaks to your situation. If you would have talked to his wife in that book, I promise you she would have been she would have told you how happy she was. Now, you narrating the story in the armchair quarterback, you can say it how you want to say it, and I get it. But truth is not absolute. Truth is relative. And in this particular instance, what you're saying is not absolute. On the surface, yeah, if you cheat on your wife, I get it. You a scoundrel, you horrible, you can't, there's no way possible you love your wife, blah 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 blah, but then go live in that person. You don't know that. That's just your opinion, and that's cool. That's cool. Hold, let me see your comment. Let me back up because I know the Lady Karen will talk good to me.
Yeah, that's the natural narrative when it comes to cheating, that you didn't love the significant other. So I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But yeah, but the thing is the SATYRIASIS or whatever. I can't pronounce. Y'all know I'm using
Satyriasis.
SATYRIASIS.
No,
SATYRIASIS.
satyriasis. Satyriasis.
SATYRIASIS. I thought I said that a minute ago. So I was saying it right.
You was a little
SATYRIASIS.
off, but yeah, you
I'm a
got
little
it.
off. I usually get
Yeah,
most
you
of my
got it now,
words
though.
together.
You got it now.
Yeah.
Satyriasis.
Yeah, okay, saturated. Okay, I got it. So yeah. So yeah, he did have a medical condition that could have been diagnosed. And everybody told him everything that you're saying, but hey, was what it was. Was what. Let's talk about some more let's talk about another character in the story. The little boy on the plane. Brad, tell me about Brad Lewinsky.
Well, Brad Lewinsky is a character that I created because I read this book a while ago called The Jewish Phenomenon. I would suggest any black person to read that book. It has it's a real game on how these Jewish people really be doing what they do.
Hmm.
But anyway, I just thought he would be a good character to shed light on some issues that African Americans are having as far as from the financial sector. Um, I also thought it was a way to bridge the gap between Jewish people and Black people, for the simple fact that I could have used any race, but I just know the history of Jewish people in this country is from reading that book. A lot of the accomplishments they have done, being only 4% of this country population, and I just thought it would be an interesting piece between him and Jacob.
Okay. Do you want to explain that relationship, or you want to make them? You want to make them read the book?
Oh,
You
they
want to
got
make
to
them read
read
the book?
that part, man. 'Cause it's I mean, I kill the joy of it. You know what I'm saying? I kill the interest in it. I rather them read it and see what they get from it. I have quite a few people that have spoken to me about that particular scene, and they found it to be interesting. So I would like the people that are willing to read my book to have that same interest or being intrigued by what I just told you or gave you the gist of that particular scene.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, and that was a very. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about it, but it was an interesting scene. For the short time that they were together, the impact that the young man made, on Jacob, which because Jacob, even though he was sex addict, he was successful, model, all these things, he was still a sponge, and he was learning, and he recognized, when learning opportunities arose. I think he did, you know what I'm saying, because even with that little boy, he could have yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. That's definitely it. Krista, she asked, was that it? Um, yeah, I think that was a powerful encounter between between Jacob and the young man, Brad. So let's talk. And so in the book, we talk about Jacob and him sleeping with 3,000 women and all this type of thing, and how he
Three
was
thousand
married.
two hundred and thirteen.
The 3,213. That's the
To
number.
be
That's the only number we're
exact.
gonna put out there. But the 3,213 people he slept with were what? Women, right?
Yes.
Yo, so
Yes.
so he didn't sleep with himself.
No.
Okay, he slept with 3,213 women, and
Yes.
some of the 3,213 women knew he was married, right?
Some of them.
Yeah. So my point is, they were culpable as well. They
Exactly.
participate. Yeah, I mean, we can throw it all on the man is the only one that cheats, and the only man is the only one that is the villain in the scenario. But in order for him to cheat, he had to have somebody to cheat with, and 3,213 of them were women. Some of them he did deceive. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them he did, but some of them were women who were married. Some were in powerful, but different. I gotta let you read the book, but. So with that being said, he wasn't the only trifling one in the story. It was some other trifling people in the story as well. So it didn't all fall on the man, did it?
No. I think women. This is my opinion. Have been playing the victim for a very long time. Just for the simple fact that a lot of women don't get caught cheating, so they
Oh,
can
yeah,
go
they
to
do.
their graves and say what they never done, knowing in the back of their mind, they know they have done something at some point.
Man, come on.
Um, And I can be honest, like I've had my time. I'm not trying to put my personal story out here, but when I was younger, I was a little something. I was something else, and I'm pretty sure some of the women I had cheat on their dudes or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure still to this day, in her mind, she has a clean record when she knows a stain there somewhere.
Oh yeah,
So I think some women they live in denial.
bro.
Um,
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, being real talk, and I'm telling too much of my business, but hey, it is. I do it all the time on this show, and I'm divorced now anyway, so I'm divorced for a reason. So yeah, I did mess up during my marriage, but I had people who would mess with me when I was married that don't want to mess with me when I'm single though. Not that I'm interested. You know what I'm saying? So, but with that being said, who's trifling in that scenario? Because it's so easy to practice point the finger writers. It's so easy to to try to you know what people want to say men are trifling or men are this or cheating. I mean, people are trifling. It ain't just men trifling, women trifling. People are trifling. Okay, so we need. You know what I tell people all the time that I think one thing that it's going to take to really help cure our community, and that's really the goal of these conversations is to start the path or the process to trying to kill, to cure our community, right? And but for that to work, do you realize I think that men and women, black men and black women, are going to have to reconcile. In other, it's going to have to involve us saying we're sorry, y'all saying y'all accept our apology, and then we could kind of start the process of healing. Because both of them trifling in that situation. I agree, Lisa. Both of them trifling. Everything I did it. I promise you, I did it. I told people my wife probably I deserved to be left because I grew up too late in the marriage. By the time I grew up, of course, I had grown out of that phase, and because it was a phase, but I grew out of it, and but the growing pains had produced so much pain that we had to amputate. You know what I'm saying? We had to cut it off, and that's what was best for her, and I get it, but it's got to come to a point at some point where black men can stop and black women can stop pointing the finger at each other, right? And we can reconcile and say, guess what? We both messed up in this situation, and we can start trying the process of healing. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree with that. My book series is pretty much about that.
Okay.
I wouldn't have sat there and just wrote a book as if I'm doing a Zane book, and nothing against her as a writer, but my book has substance when it's come to the black family
Okay.
and why we destroy our families half the time, and most of the time it deals with financial reasons, cheating. I forgot the other one. I guess growing apart type things, but I think one of the biggest things is cheating. Why our families are being separated so much, when a woman just gets so to the point where she just can't tolerate it no more, or a man being cheated on, they can't tolerate it anymore. You rarely have cases where it's just like it's just not working and let's just separate. Vast majority of the times, which I believe, I don't know the statistics exactly, but what I will say, or what I believe is, it's just due to infidelity. I think you have more people that's getting into open relationships.
Isn't that something?
Um,
Yeah, I
I,
saw that.
I don't know if that's a way of them just giving up on hope on a person being faithful. But you have a lot of those type of relationships coming about now. You have quite a few people, I think, it's poly relationships, where you can have two women or a woman can have two men. That's becoming more acceptable now. But for the rest of the world that believes in traditional, or Americans that believe, or Westerners that believe in
There you go.
traditional relationships, the disappointing part is just believing in their mind that, you know, if they, because most people, they look at relationships like this here. If I do this, this should equal that. So, for example, if a woman sit there and say, "Well, I cook, I'm loyal, I have sex with you when you need to, I'm there for you when you need this, I'm supportive, all this other stuff," and in the back of her mind, she's saying, "All I want for you is show the same loyalty by not going out there sleeping with other women." So you have to understand the disappointment in a woman when she finds out that you're sleeping with somebody else.
Oh, absolutely. It takes a piece away from. I mean, the loyalty, the betrayal. I mean, the disloyalty. the betrayal, man. I watched it. You know, man, I ain't gonna lie, I witnessed it. That was that, and that hurts. And that was that was Jacob's biggest fear in the book. You know, because he didn't want to see, because he did care for her the way he did, or love her the way he did. He didn't want to see her hurt. You know what I'm saying? He was gonna do everything in his power to keep her from being. I'm not telling too much about the book. No, not to tell too much about the book.
That's a good part. You can
Okay.
say that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, good. All right, let's see. So you talked about the open relationship. Lisa Thomas said open relationships are just people settling because they don't want to be alone. Does that sound about right?
Once again, it's always individuality.
And
It's
that's the
always,
thing. Nothing that's why I keep saying that truth is not absolute. Like I talked to a woman one time and she told me she wanted to be in a poly relationship. That was her saying, because she said she didn't want to have to be responsible for giving him sex whenever he wanted. She wanted to share that responsibility. And then she liked women too, so she wanted to be able to have somebody to play with. So, I mean, people have, you know what? That's why, you know, I heard you a minute ago, Terry, when you said that truth is not really, the truth should have boundaries. You know what I'm saying? But isn't it interesting how God, when he made us, he gave us all different fingerprints. So if he gave us all different fingerprints, don't he kind of give us different ways of thinking? And if we do think different, it's okay because most times people debate and argue over each other's opinions. You know what I mean? I mean, how can I debate you based on what you believe? You know what I'm saying? Because that's that whole legalism thing to me. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest issues in the world to me, especially with church and all those types of things. Is we talk about how their permissive will and freedom of this and freedom of that, and where the spirit of the Lord is freedom. But then all of a sudden we want to holler legalism. We can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. And so and so we don't. Sometimes we don't even know. No, I'm gonna leave that part alone. That's something. Hold on. Don Taylor said there's some freaky MFs that just like variety. That's true. Uh, okay, when I was told about the women who want poly, Lady Karen Hayes said, I know a few like that too. Uh, there is no other relationship other than traditional. Everything else is flesh. Now that's a statement based on premise. If your premise is Western, which we are, and we've been in Western culture for all these years, and that's all you know, then yeah, that's what you're gonna go with. But it's not like that everywhere else in the world. And so and it's probably, well, I'm not, like I said, I don't want to go too deep into that, because like I said, that would be a conversation that we can have all night, every night. So how many you have, how many different how many different copies you, how many parts of this book do you have? Because I got part one right.
okay,
I only
so
okay.
so you got my first book, which is Change. You will never look at cheating the same way again. This basically the start to the series. It opens you up to what goes on further down the line. Right now, it has a 5 point star rating on Amazon.
Okay.
A lot of people tell me this is what they say. I didn't say it. Some people says that the book is a page reader. Quite a few people that told me they didn't read this book in one day. You just heard Brother James say he read 250 pages in one day, which is excellent on his part. That tells me a lot of levels of intention. I mean, of paying attention that he has. Some people they can probably only read 1 or 2 pages, but the people that really don't like to read, all of them done told me that they love the book. So anyway, let's get to the next book. The next book is Change 2: The Consequences of Cheating. This
Okay.
book here is what the women really want to see what happens to Jacob. That's
I need that book.
part one. Women, this what the women are waiting for right here. But you
Well,
have
I ain't
to
a
read.
woman, but I ain't a woman, but I need that book. I
Yeah.
need that book, because the way you left this last one off, okay, you're wrong for that. Let me just say that right now.
Hey
You're
man,
wrong for how
appreciate it.
you left me hanging at the end of the freaking book, man. You wrong for that, okay? But go ahead.
Hey man, a lot of people told me they be looking for me after part one. So anyway, so it's a trilogy. So with every story, it has to be a redemption at some point.
Okay.
So the last book is Change 3: The Redemption of Jacob Richardson. And that just pretty much, we to the point where at the beginning we was arrogant, and then we get to the point where we're humbled, and then we learn to redeem ourselves. It's just like a marriage breaking up. When you first break up, I mean, while you in the marriage, think you can do what you want to do, and your wife gonna stay there. Oh, I'm paying all the bills. I'm loving her. I'm bringing her roses. I'm hiding my girls very well from her. She done went through my phone a couple times, and I done lied my butt off and said, "That ain't nothing but a friend. What you talking about?" And one thing about a woman's intuition is very strong. So even if she don't go back and forth with you, don't think she don't know what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
So by the time you
Absolutely.
get done with that first part of that book, then you go through the part where you're trying to get her back. Don't we all do that after our mistakes? Don't we try to cry? Please come back to me. I'm gonna change. But it's too late. Because one thing about a human being, they get tired of being mistreated. And when you
Mm.
beat their spirit down and you beat their heart down, there's something called the thrill is gone. They ain't even happy
Yeah,
to see you no more. And they ready to get away from you. But at the end of the day, sometimes a relationship never work out again. But at the end of the day, you can have a friendship with them.
yeah,
That's one thing I came to know about when you hurt people, that you might not be able to have them again physically, but you can have a friendship with them. And
that's true.
sometimes that's the way God designed that situation to be. And a lot of people don't want to believe that they still in their mind, I can get them back, or I can get them back. And really, you can't. Even if you get them back physically, they're
Mm.
still not with you.
That's
So
true.
we have to be conscious of whether we can sit there and say, okay, we're in the Western society and we should still live like the Africans and all. Listen here, these black women ain't trying to hear what you're talking about. That's
No.
something like game to them
Oh, no
because
doubt.
they have learned a different system,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been dealing with that system down there all their life. So all of a sudden in their 30s and 40s, you gonna tell them, let's do it the African way, and I can have all these women I want,
No.
and she cooking and cleaning. For some people, yeah, they gonna do it, but I'll say a vast majority of these women, they ain't having it. It's either
No.
them or nobody else.
And that's fair. I mean, that's fair. Now, numerically, somebody's gonna get left out, but by the mere fact that it's 3 million more black women in the world than it is black men. So somebody numerically, somebody's gonna get left out. But everybody wants their own man, and you know what? They should have their own man. Like you say, I agree with you 100%, Mr. Wellsby, that we live in this culture. We've been enculturated. We That's all we know. We only go with what we know for the most part. So the vast majority of women want their own man and deserve their own man. And sadly, so many men, because the pickings are so many, they take advantage of that picking, and they cheat and operate outside of their relationship, operate outside their marriage. But you're right. And I think R. Kelly said it best, didn't he? Said when a woman's fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it. It's like running out of love. It's too late to talk about it, and that's exactly what it is. That's my mantra on this day. In relationships, we grow up, and growing up in relationships, you can either grow apart, but hopefully, if you do it right, you'll grow together. You know, but either way, if you grow apart, grow together, you're gonna have some growing pains. And the question is, or the challenge is to manage the growth, and most of us, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. Most of us, and y'all, if you don't agree with, tell me. I don't care. I'm used to being disagreed with. Most of us don't like pain. We don't like pain, and because we don't like pain, we don't want to go through the process of healing, because going from pain, the process of healing usually involves some, for number one, it might involve surgery, it might involve rehabilitation, it might involve taking medication for a long period of time or whatever it is. But but pain, to manage the pain, involves a process. But Lisa, watch this. We as a culture rather than heal, we would rather amputate. Let me let that marinate for a hot second. We as a culture, rather than go because we're in pain, rather than heal, go through the process of healing, we'd rather amputate rather than do the thing that's necessary to build that relationship back. I know we're a little bit outside of the book right now, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Jay. I went a whole different direction on that, but that's what it is. Because because out of people, everybody in the chat right now, if your husband or wife cheated on you, would you leave them? Yes or no? If you're married, and I know most of us probably are single, but if you're single, if you let's just say if you were married, would you cheat? I mean, if he cheated, would you leave? Would you leave? Answer that question for me. Yes or no? That's a simple answer. Yes or no? That's a simple answer. Yes or no? If you saw him changing, if he's growing up, is it? But do they grow up too late? Jay. Do they grow up too late? Do we grow up too late sometimes?
Um, yeah, I think some people mature later than others. After destroying so many relationships, some people start figuring out like maybe it's me and not the other person. So maturity comes over time, and at that time we might be to the point where we might have to use Viagra.
Do
They
whatever's
said
necessary. Huh?
they just it's just what it is with certain men. Once again, it starts for the most part childhood.
Gotcha. Can we
Childhood.
talk? We can't talk about childhood. We can't talk about Jacob's childhood, can we?
Um,
You tell him how you would want to say it. I'm not gonna say it. I mean,
I
tell him.
wouldn't necessarily want to talk about it. I can give you an example of mine as an author that possibly could relate to his childhood. I think some of my problems was the type of music that I listened to when I was younger. So a lot of music that I listened to, um, they downgraded women.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with bitches and hoes, pretty much, throughout my childhood. I had an uncle that was a player. I used to like watching black exploitation movies. I used to love the Mac. I used to love Dynamite, I think it was, or
Willie Dynamite,
all those type of movies. Like those
Dolomite,
Dolomite, my bad.
Dolomite.
Those
Yeah.
type of movies. Boomerang was one of my favorite movies. How to Be a Player was one of my favorite movies.
Wow.
So with all those things being instilled in my head, that's why I said cheating is a pride thing.
Yeah.
Being able to get away with it. Just seeing all the guys that was getting all the girls. I used to always wonder to myself like what made women like this particular guy over another. Um, so in a nutshell, I found my own lane with it. Like I said, just due to childhood. Yeah, people like at a young age watching porn.
Wow.
Porn plays a major part in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have more kids watching it now than when I was growing up because they have access to it on their phone, or they'll figure out a way to get it on their phone. So with those type of images running through your head, you can see why so many sexual deviants out here.
Mm-hmm.
Go on Instagram, half the time, you're gonna run into a woman with being half naked. So you got to understand, like your mind has a spot that it's like an endorphin when you see the opposite sex if you're a heterosexual.
Mm-hmm.
So once that's going on all the time, then I mean you can't help but want somebody else outside of what you have at home, no matter how fine she is.
Wow.
It take a real disciplined man to turn down a fine woman,
Yeah.
or he's a man of status.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like a president that would definitely not risk, him being a president for sex outside of Bill Clinton. Um, but the rest of them, some men just off their status won't cheat. But you have a lot of men out here that don't have status,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't have nothing to jeopardize outside of their marriage. And if they feel like their woman can't catch them, then it's like, oh well, like I'm just acting as a man. And that's the excuse that most men use is I'm just being a man. That's
Mm-hmm.
our nature.
Mm-hmm.
But when you keep using that excuse and you keep destroying your homes because of what you have perceived or the narrative is, then what do you have when you have to pay child support for 5, 6 kids? Because that's just your nature.
Wow.
Now that just becomes a government issue. Whereas then we need to have a conversation with the government and start telling them like, yo, like, why should she deserve alimony? Because I cheated because this is my nature.
Mm.
But they won't ever have that type of conversation.
No, they'll never have that conversation. That's interesting. That's interesting. And ladies, when you read the book, and I hope y'all order it, you're gonna see the trauma that Jacob encountered, and he did. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the way where you placed it in the book was perfectly placed. You know what I'm saying? Because it almost took, in a sense, you're looking at him, how he was and how he, how he moved, how he operated, and then all of a sudden you understood a little bit more of why. You know what I'm saying? That now, if I had known that in the beginning, I probably would have read it with a whole different, with a different eye or in a different light, right? But where you placed it at, and when you brought that aspect of the story out, uh, it kind of made me, kind of feel for Jacob a little bit more, because man, Jacob was, like I said, although he was that dude, he was still a scoundrel. He was a scoundrel, but he was that dude. He was that dude. He was really that dude. Y'all. Okay, so let me look at this. I asked that question a minute ago. Would you leave? Mia Thomas said no. Lady Karen said probably not. Don Taylor said it depends. My mouth says yes, but my heart might feel different. When I was talking about amputation, Terry Thomas said sometimes amputation is necessary. Okay. Uh, Lisa Thomas said if he cheats once, I'll forgive him and figure out how to work towards mending our relationship. If it happens again, I'm out. Okay. So I love y'all. Y'all are good. So y'all understand that sometimes things might just happen. You about to say? Were you about to say something, sir?
Um, I'm gonna say that the funny part about see me at this point, I say for a woman, if she cheats on me, I'm pretty much probably have that conversation, but I'm pretty much out. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like you're gonna do it again. And it might not be with the same person, it might be with somebody else. But once again, it's a case by case situation. But you have a lot of people like they just thirst for that. It's like the thrill. You have some people that sell drugs. Not even, it gets to the point they done made all the money in the world, and now it just becomes a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with cheaters at times. It's just a lifestyle.
Wow.
It's almost like you're going through rehabilitation at all times. It's like when you're out, you have to tell yourself, "Don't do this."
Wow.
It's that's just how serious it becomes with people. And I'm telling you, women and men like that. They grew up with that behavior. In high school, when they got upset, they always confide in somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that situation of confining that person can lead to sex.
Mm-hmm.
And that pattern persists throughout their adulthood. Whereas in the minute something go wrong, I'm at the bar having a drink. You know, alcohol give you a high chance of possibly having a one night stand or at least getting that person number.
Really? So that's
Yeah,
that's
it's definitely in Atlanta. Get out, go to some of these brunches and bars, and let the woman, because women, I think women damn near drinking more than men now.
really. So I'm totally oblivious. That one I'm totally oblivious on. I started preaching at 21, so I never really got into the nightlife style like that. I'm preaching 21. I got married at 26, but I was dating at 23. Well, never mind. My math don't really matter in this situation. But no, that's I never made that. That one ain't never been one of my testimonies. I don't have that notch on my belt or that sense of pride, I guess, if if you will. Let me ask you a question. When writing the book, did you seek any information like from therapists, or what kind of research did you do uh, to
Um,
understand?
well, first of all, I really wanted to tell an accurate story.
Okay.
I'm big on when I put information out there that you can fact check everything that I've said.
Okay.
And you can fact check everything throughout my books. And I'm pretty sure I'm 100% correct just from the research that I did prior to writing the book and doing the book. Psychology was my major before I stopped going to college.
Okay.
And I've always been intrigued by the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely wrote this book from a psychological standpoint. Just for the simple fact, I wanted you to understand what was going through his head as he looked at things from his perspective. I also did a lot of research on sexuality.
Okay.
I had to study the human anatomy, male and female. So when I was talking about certain body parts, I was
You
able
called
to
them out.
not only say
You
it in a
called those body
slang
parts.
term, but also be accurate on his actual name.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research. I wanted to be correct. I wanted to educate people as much as educate myself as I wrote this book, as well as entertain people during the process.
Yeah. It was definitely relevant because the places that you talked about were places that I've heard. I've never been to Miami, but places that you've heard about, you know what I'm saying, or whatnot. And it was very relevant, very accurate. Even as they went from city to city and all those types of things. But man, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't ready for that ending. I wasn't ready for those last couple of chapters. Because like I said, it when I was reading it today, it was like a thoroughbred, trying to make it around the track. And you know how you at the finish line and the horse stretches for the end. I
Yeah.
mean, I had so much momentum by the time I got to chapters 23 and 24. That I was, and the chapters start getting shorter as you get towards that part of the book anyway. So I'm like just going through it, going through it, going through it. Then all of a sudden I hit a brick wall. Like, what? And I'm like, I wanted to call you. And I called you immediately as soon as I finished reading the book. And I'm like, and then you like, oh yeah, it's part two. I'm like, I'm gonna need that part two, bro. Cause for real, cause I probably wouldn't have, I wouldn't have stopped reading in the day. I would probably still be reading right now, just to hear that, man. Cause the way you ended it, bruh, that would make anybody won't have to read part two. Because if you don't, the story is like that's like watching. They only give you 4 episodes of Power, and you got to wait till, and it's June, but you got to wait till January to get the next season. You know what I'm saying? So when you did that to me today, I really thought that was rather rude and mean, but I I understand, I get it. It's perfect. I'm joking. I'm being super
Yeah, I
facetious.
had quite a few people. Yeah, that's how they came at me, man. I had people looking for me, man. They was really
Really,
looking for me.
really,
Yeah.
really.
So I
So how
had
did you?
to. Once I had got done with part one, I was like, well, definitely have to finish part two. I have to write it. I took a break for a while, just to get myself mentally prepared to do it again. Writing is not easy.
Okay.
It's very time consuming. I see why so many actors and actresses get on drugs.
Oh, really?
You become the characters.
Wow.
You really do. You become whoever you're writing about at that time. So you got to understand, like writing a book is like being a director. Whether I thought about that, I never thought. I was like, you know what? I actually directed
Yeah,
a book,
I can
which
see
could
that.
be a movie.
I can
But
see
you
that.
have to set up your scenes. You have to give the background of the characters.
Yeah,
You have to be the narrator.
you did it,
You're everything. You're every character in the book. Every,
you did it,
I am
bro.
King. I am all them people. I have to write their voice. So
Bro,
it's a lot when you're writing a book that people do not even understand.
bro. But while I'm reading it, I'm questioning that because I never majored in psychology, but I took a couple of psychology courses, and but I'm literally trying to understand your mind while you're writing this. Like when you introduced Kiki, boy, Kiki blew me away. You know what I'm saying? Quickly, you know what I'm saying? Fast. And it was in a moment because like he's here 1 second, he takes a quick little retrospect right quick, then he comes back to the present. You know what I'm saying? It's just you're narrating all of these scenes with words, and I'm able to see all of these scenes. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, and these are like in a moment while he's standing in the driveway, and all of a sudden he has a flashback, and then all of a sudden, boom, okay, let me go on with the rest of my day, and then I'm back in regular time. But you're able to do that through a book. And so that means you're having to organize. Do you have to use charts, anything to write? I mean, did the characters develop as you were writing the book, or did you have the characters up front and then you inserted them in the book? Like you had a chart that says Kiki gonna be like this, and Latasha, whatever name, gonna be like this, and Melissa's gonna be like this, and how did you did the characters just organically develop, or what?
They really did. They organically
What?
developed, for the simple fact that I write without an outline. I write my book from the top of my head.
Oh wow.
Um, I write as I go. I'm actually a barber, so while I'm at the barber shop, I can be cutting hair, and I can be thinking about my characters as I'm cutting hair. And then I basically just go home and just write a scene. I kind of organized the story in my head.
Okay.
I knew what was going to happen next, and I basically what I did was I write up to the climax scene. So
Okay.
then that's when I do my fillers. Those are
Okay.
the fun parts because really you don't know where you're going at with your story. You just know you have to get to this specific part of the book.
Okay.
So all the other stuff is just fun. You're making up as you go. And you're making up the characters as you go. You're making up their names. I didn't know anybody's name until I
What?
got to that point. I could be actually looking on Facebook and I could see somebody's last name, and I'm like, okay, that might be that character last name. I might see another person with a first name, and I'm like, okay, that's the person's first name. Um, it's just a gift that God gave me. Like, I just can't write with an outline, but I knew my story, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew how to organize it in my head. So that's the way I came up with it. I already knew what the end was going to be. I
Wow.
already knew.
Now, did when you said the end of, you knew what the end was going to be? Is that the end of book one or end of book three? When
Okay,
you say
well,
you
to
knew what
be honest, I knew the end of book three. Book
you knew the,
one, big book one, I got to a certain point. I was like, you know what? I think it's a good place to stop at. Because I remember when I did, I say, oh crap. I say, man, this is a cliffhanger. And I say this would probably intrigue somebody else to read part two because if you think about it, if I would have wrote um, one book, that's just how thick it would have been.
yeah,
And
that
I
would have
was
been too
like,
big.
I'm just in this 100, I think 80,000 words each book, if not 200,000 some odd each book. So that's a lot of writing.
Yeah.
So I wanted people to, I kind of like dumbed it down a little bit for the simple fact that, a lot of people are writing shorter books now. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to give a person enough of a book, whereas it's long enough, but it's short compared to a lot of books that I grew up reading. So I tried to play up on the people attention span.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to read all that in one day.
Nah,
I mean, if you did it that way, I wouldn't have been able to, and I probably wouldn't have ever read all of it, to be honest with you. But how long did it take you to write all three?
it took 8
Three
years.
versions? Huh?
8 years.
8 years? I thought you said 30 years at first. I'm
No,
like
no,
30
I'm
years.
not that old. I see the grays, but I'm not that old. No, not that long. It just took 8. It took 8. It took 4 for the first one. It took 4 for the other two.
Really? four
Yeah,
years? Wow.
I published the book in 2017,
Okay.
the
Okay.
first one, and then I just published the other two in 2021.
All right. So anybody in the chat or anybody who's listening, if you're writing a book, stop putting so much pressure on yourself to get it finished. You see what he just said. It took him 4 years to write the first version or the first book, and 4 more years to write the next two books. So if you don't stop putting so much, I'm trying to write something too now, Jay, to be honest with you. And I put so much pressure. I try to give myself a deadline, and I am so far behind. I mean, I'm so far behind on my deadline, but I know what I want to write about. It's all in my head. I just got to get it out. I just got to get it all out. And when I do, it's
So,
gonna be
so
I
this
know.
this one thing that helps me write, and not to cut you off, but I just want you to hear this out. Um, I'm not writing for a publishing company.
Okay.
when you write for a publishing company, they have a deadline for you, and pretty much you have to meet it. Just I guess for whatever the contract you may have came up with them, that they
Hmm.
want you to produce this amount of books in 2 3 years. So you're not up under a contract. Your only contract that you have with yourself is to complete.
Okay. Hold on. You hit your mute button, Jay. Oh, you hit your mute. You hit your
Okay,
something happened to your mute
now,
button. Okay, we
can you hear me
got you now.
now?
Yeah, we got you.
So what I told somebody the other day was, I say, man, you gotta live every day like there's a possibility you're gonna die. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to do that because at the end of the day, that's how I do things when it comes to writing. And I don't mean in a negative way. What I'm saying is I don't know my time on earth.
Hmm.
So if I sit there and say every day I put something towards what my purpose is in life and what my real ultimate dream is, sooner or later it's going to happen.
Okay.
But I just have to plug away every day. So basically, all I did was write 2 pages a day, 5 days out the week. I had 10 pages a week, which equaled out to 40 pages a month. And that was my way of writing my book.
Mm.
Gave me the weekends where I no longer stressed. My normal time was waking up at 4 a.m. to write, and then at night I'll come home and read over it. So I tell anybody, man, if you really want to write a book, you can. It's
Okay.
just up to you to stop putting so many things in front of what you really want to do for yourself.
Gotcha. 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 Well, man, we appreciate you, man, for coming on tonight. Like I said, we've had a good conversation, I believe, and I think people are their interests are piqued enough to want to go and purchase the book. I'm going to put the name of the book in the chat, well, the link to the book one more time in the chat for those that are interested in ordering the book. Um, and do me a favor, go and purchase the book and support Brother Welsby. And I'll appreciate you a whole lot. Man, do you have any other closing words before you get out of here? I'm gonna give some of my announcements before I leave, and then, but I ain't gonna hold you for that if you don't want. You're good. Anything else you need that you want to share with the people?
Read my book. I promise you won't be disappointed, and you'll find out that there are men that love their wife even though they cheat.
That's an oxymoron. Thank you for coming, man. We'll talk to you later. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to. Well, we got to meet soon to get that book. I'm about to go to Waffle House in a minute though. But
Okay.
we got to meet. I'm hungry, but we got to meet so I can get that book from you. Okay.
All right.
And
No problem.
I'll reach out to you soon, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for
All
coming
right.
on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. Y'all
Okay.
be good. All right. So we appreciate him for coming on tonight and sharing his book. And I want you all for real, if you will, please, ma'am, please, sir, go and purchase his book. Now, we're gonna do a Monday night live on a Tuesday tomorrow night, starting at the same time, 9 o'clock. We're gonna start at 9 o'clock, and tomorrow we're gonna do a different topic. We're gonna have a little fun, and I'm probably going to have a couple of people on with me, some panelists on with me tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about this friend zone thing. We're going to talk about being stuck in the friend zone and how can is it possible to move from the friend zone to the end zone. So tomorrow night we're going, and I got some insight from some brothers tonight at the barbershop today, and I'm going to share that insight with you all tomorrow. So I've enjoyed tonight's show. It was interesting. We're gonna hopefully we got a different perspective on cheating. I get it. I know it's hard to imagine that somebody can love you, but when someone's going, if we're gonna blame some things on mental illness and not other things on, well, I'm gonna leave that part of it alone. But yeah, the man was suffering with some serious things, and I really wanted to talk a lot more about the book, but that would be more probably in a book club setting more so than giving all of the details of his book because he wants you to read the book, and I don't blame him. He wants you to read the book so that you can understand everything that's going on. And I ain't gonna lie, Lady Karen, there was a whole bunch I wanted to say because Jacob was a mess. He gone. Should I talk about it since he's gone? No, I'm not gonna do that. That would be wrong. He might be mad at me if I do that. But tomorrow night we're gonna talk about what I say friend zone. If the friend zone really exists, and if it does exist, how do we end up getting stuck in the friend zone? And if we get stuck in the friend zone, is it possible to move from the friend zone to the end zone? And what are the ramifications if we one person shoots their shot and the other one is not receptive. Can we go back to being friends again the way it was? We're going to talk about all that tomorrow night at 9:00 p.m. I'm not going to do it. 9:00 p.m. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all for our normal show. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to deal with Friend Zone. Next week, we're going to talk about what better looks like and have a couple of fitness instructors on, and we're going to talk about fitness and all that type of thing. I'm just trying to help our community, y'all. So if y'all stay with me, I think over time we'll start to make an impact. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen over time, and that's what I want to do. So I want to thank all of you all for coming by and hanging out with me tonight. Like I said, tomorrow night, 9:00. If we do it right, we can get it done in about an hour, hopefully, and I can start being a little bit more respectful of your time. I didn't keep you 2 hours a night. I only kept you for an hour, almost an hour and a half, and we're about to go. So I'm going to say good night, and I will see you all on